October 21st was a day a lot like most of our summer days here in Elfin Forest, the Harmony Grove area. It wasn't real warm. I think it was about 78 degrees, but the humidity was really very low. I think it was between 4 and about 9%, so it was quite dry. And there'd been a lot of fires in Southern California that week and before that, and so I think there was still a lot of smoke in the air. But I had an interesting sort of a eerie feeling on the day that sometimes you get when there's a real calmness somehow before something happening. And it just had that sort of a feeling. Light, I think, was reflected in such a way that you sometimes get in the October time period where it just almost had a surreal feeling. And maybe I'm reflecting back and adding more to it. But as I recall, it was just a bit of an average day, but it had a very different feel. And I think it was about 2 o'clock in the afternoon or just before that the alarm came in for a fire out on the Harmony Grove area. And
1:56 in the afternoon, that's when firefighters get the first calls. The fire starts at Elfin Forest Road and Harmony Grove Road, but it doesn't stay there long.
When we got the call, I remember I was at home, and it was for a vegetation fire out on Harmony Grove Road. I remember leaving my driveway and looking east, as you do, because I can look that way. And I remember already seeing a large, dark black cloud. But in the meantime, the fire was moving up the hill, and we were starting to work on it. And as is typical of fire, once it got going, it was moving up that hill rapidly. Once it got to the top of the hill, it then proceeded to move west very rapidly. The air people who were flying it were measuring the winds by the time it got to the top of the hill at almost 40 miles an hour. So we went from almost dead calm to almost 40 miles an hour wind right at the top of the hill. And from there, then the fire was just off, moving west and moving north at a tremendous rate. Almost immediately, the communications broke down, which is not unusual in major fire events, that some things go on. The repeater sites, which are the things for the radios to talk to each other, it failed in that area. And of course, the electricity almost immediately failed, and after that, all the telephone lines burned through. And so almost at once, there was almost no communication. And this is something important for you as homeowners, all of us, to remember, is that in many cases, we're going to have to stay alert and be prepared to make some independent decisions to leave on your own well ahead of time, because it's difficult to make contact with people when you don't have communications. And we all think today, we did at the fire, that, well, we've got cell phones, we've got radios, we've got electricity, we've got telephones. Well, guess what? None of that stuff worked real well.
Sky 10 hovers over some of the first homes to go up in this rural area. News crews on the ground find themselves in the thick of it.
Don't tell them! Hey! Don't tell them! Get in the car, yeah, I would go pull out now.
Panicked residents have little time to leave.
Okay, easy.
Hundreds of horses live in this rural area and have to be evacuated too.
There's still more horses.
Evacuations are really an important thing for all of us here within the Elfin Forest Harmony Grove communities. Realize that fires do move quickly and that we have to move quickly ourselves. And it's very important for each family, each home, to have its plan of how to deal with the evacuation process. Know where your children are. Have a place where you can have them and meet up with them, and leave early enough so that you can get out in a hurry. Realize that this community has really only 2 roads in and out of it, and they're narrow 2-lane roads. It is amazing how quickly it can become jammed with people, with horses, with kids and dogs and bicycles and panicked people.
No, there's 2 houses.
You got more horses?
Yes.
What about houses then down there?
Some houses are gone.
Some houses are gone?
That's what I heard.
This whole place is going. Come on, Mike.
And realize too that not only are you trying to get out, but a lot of emergency equipment is also trying to get in. So it's real important for you to leave early, have a plan, know where you're going, and try to have things organized so that you can leave quickly and not have this, reduce this, I'm not saying it won't happen, but to reduce the panic and the congestion so that there can be a free flow of people in and out in an organized manner.
This is Ed Linderman. I'm having a little trouble hearing here because of the wind and the flames. We are on top of the San Marcos landfill. Take a look. In just the last 3 minutes, the flames are beginning to surround us here, and we're going to have to get out of here fairly quickly. Take a look here. This is just some of the flame that is surrounding the landfill right now. This fire is very, very hot, very, very dangerous, and very, very fluid. We were going to show you some tape that we shot earlier on Elfin Road. We're going to roll that now. We talked to one resident who said he thought for sure that at least 2 homes had burned to the ground. Many others are threatened. Again, a very, very fluid situation on Elfin Road. Hundreds of people are trying to get their horses, their pets, and themselves out. We talked to several people who were very, very frantic, who said, I've got family back in those homes. We can't get through. We don't know whether they've gotten out safely. It is a very, very dangerous, very fluid situation and borders on catastrophe here as you see these flames. These flames, the only thing that's keeping me and my photographer Mike Inneman away from these flames is the fact that we're in the landfill. But we are now beginning to be surrounded by the flames. Mike, take a look at the shot back here. These are the trucks that are coming down to the landfill. The wind has picked up incredibly in just the last few minutes, and again, the only thing that's keeping those flames away from us here as the wind continues to blow across me here is the fact that we've got a lot of dirt as part of the landfill separating us.
This is out my back yard. Look at that. Look at the size of it cresting that hill, baby. It's really coming over now. There's a lot of beautiful homes over in this area here, as you can see. Here's some more of them in San Marcos, but this is the back of San Marcos here.
Well, let's head more to the south now, man. It's coming back north, and the wind's shifting over too. Look at that. Dude, it's coming right down our canyon, right down to those homes, right down Stagecoach Park. It could burn it all down. Unbelievable. The priest was supposed to be down there taking ballet lessons.
The fire moved very rapidly and got very, very large very, very quickly. I remember the third time, actually I'm sorry, it was the second time we relocated the command post. We relocated it from Harmony Grove to the old trailer park, which was down at the end of the street here, and then to the fire station. And I remember being here organizing things. It was then that the telephone lines had burned through. There's no communications here. I remember looking east over the hill and seeing all of the fire that was burning down that hill, moving towards the fire station. I knew that it had already burned up the hill through the Quest Haven, and it was right then and there that Nona Barker and I were standing here, and she broke down in tears, and she said, we're going to lose homes, we're going to lose neighbors. This is just going to be awful. And I remember seeing it and realizing how big it was and how little we could really do at that time other than in just very limited stands here and there to try and save what we could. How tragic and how hard it was going to be. They talk about the fog of war. Well, I can tell you there's a fog of fighting fire that goes along with it when you don't have communications, when the electricity's out, when you've got fire that is overwhelming you. You know your neighbors are in trouble. And all of our training tells us we can help people. It is a very sobering and humbling experience to realize that you can't really do much when it's a situation that is that big and that intense.
We gotta find Daddy.
Families are devastated as homes go up in flames all around them. It's the firestorm of the North County that just won't quit. More than 50 homes have been destroyed at this hour, dozens more damaged.
The fire has spread from Harmony Grove all the way to Carlsbad and San Marcos. Leonard Villarreal has been right near the flames all evening. Leonard, can you bring us up to date?
Hi, Cat Hero. This has been a living nightmare. We are in La Costa at the corner of Cadencia and Borla Place, and this is one of those 50 homes behind me. This is a real home where a family have their hopes and their dreams, and now nothing more than smoking timber, ashes, and some flames. Let's give you an idea, roll some videotape of what it was like here just a couple of hours ago as the fires literally raged out of control, claiming one home after another. These burning embers were coming up across the street and landed on one roof and then another. Of course, the shake shingle roofs made it nearly impossible to fight. Firefighters put up a courageous battle. One home they would have to let go so that they could save several around it, and they just had to make instant assessments as to which home they would save and which home that they would have to let go so they could save others. Many people evacuated the area. Others took positions up on the roofs with fire garden hoses and did their best to do that. This has also been an event, though, of people doing their best to fight the fires and people leaving not knowing what they would face when they would come back.
We've been gone 2 hours.
About 2 hours. We left around 7
I'm so thankful for the fire department.
Is this a battle you think you can win? Or we're going to try our best to win it? All we can do is our best.
One of the tragedies of the Harmony fire was the loss of one of our longtime residents, David Hammond. He had been here quite some time and knew the area and knew the environment that he was in. I think he stayed behind to try and protect his house some and stayed just a little bit too long. Left in his vehicle, and what I understand is his vehicle became stuck. And at that point, he was afraid of being overwhelmed by fire and got out and attempt to run from the fire and was overwhelmed by the fire. The tragic story to that is hopefully it won't happen again. Our residents, our people here, if you pay attention to what's going on, leave when you need to, practice safe exits, be prepared. Hopefully this won't happen to you, because believe me, that is the one thing in my mind that still weighs on me as far as the death of a resident. Homes and things can be replaced. I can sleep with those issues and what can happen. But the loss of a life, the senseless tragedy, how it truly affected our community, our fire department, families and friends, even to this day, it is just tragic, and it's so important that we just don't ever let this happen again.
Oh man. Does that tell you anything? That's my fence. That's the towering inferno. Need I say more? How'd you like to have that looking at you? There goes some beautiful trees. Honey, you ought to see it now. It's terrible back here. Oh, God. That's my hill. They're evacuating my neighbors down at the bottom of the hills now.
Is that your house? Were you able to get anything?
There's stuff on the driveway, just get it for me, okay?
What'd you go after?
Old clock, it's closed. I can't believe it.
Any more pressure? Yeah!
The firestorm here right now is at an intensity that firefighters here have never seen. There are literally houses on fire all around me. There, and over behind us there. Carol and Kimberly, I want to show you an amazing story that I think shows what happened. We're in a neighborhood that was really hit hard last night at the top of a canyon. This house right here is totally gone. You can see Rancho Santa Fe Fire standing by here to watch the hot spots. Come here to the next house over. Once again, another house completely taken apart by fire. If you go across the street over here, up that street, we've got another 4 or 5 houses all torn apart by the fire. Across the street, another 4 or 5 houses completely leveled. But take a look back over here where I am, and you'll see the most amazing part of this story. The house right behind me, absolutely intact. It absolutely passed the houses below it, the houses around it, across from it, everything torn apart. And here's the reason why. They found a note when they came home up here. The note says, "We were here. Your roof and us saved your home. Engine 1113, Fallbrook Fire."
For all of us here at Crest Haven, and I think for most everyone who lived through this experience with the fire, it came like a crucifixion. It was really heartbreaking for those of us here, seeing that fire almost like an avalanche of flame come down from the hills behind this church. I know Phyllis and I came down just before we evacuated. We came into this church wanting to save whatever we could. The flames were so intense that we had only time to grab the picture of the Christ and a few other things. And as we were passing by the altar here, the heat was so intense, I was concerned that the whole framework would explode and take the church with it. When we made our exit, as we left the church, there were cinders of flaming material that the wind was blowing 100 or more yards ahead of the fire. And the parking lot was catching fire. And I must confess my faith wasn't strong enough to see this church living through that Holocaust, but it did. As one of the heroes who was defending it said, it was like a great angel came and parted the fire waves that were coming at it. And you can go out and walk around the church and you can find not a blade of grass or a bush left. It's all cinder, right up to the edge of this church. The only scars that remain, as you can see in the colored glass, the stained glass windows, are tiny cracks that testify to the intense heat that this church endured. If it's not a scorch mark to the exterior, not a heat blister, it's just extraordinary. And so that was more or less how this experience unfolded.
Today, Tootie Rowe thinks about the Elfin Forest Harmony Grove firefighter who continued to water her property after the evacuation. And she thinks about the losses of her neighbors.
I almost feel guilty.
Really?
I do. It makes me want to cry because I look at everybody else.
You feel how blessed and lucky you are.
Yes.
In addition to talking to us and taking care of the animals, the Rowe family is also preparing a feast. All of this food will be part of a community potluck dinner tonight to thank the Elfin Forest firefighters.
You can smell it with every dish that walked in the door and the endless other goodies that await. Community pride shared by neighbors consoling one another and giving credit to the men and women in yellow.
Our heroes right here. John Hirschfeld.
Captain John Hirschfeld hurt his eyes from shattered glass. He's one of many that faced the wrath of Monday's brush fires. He's okay now, but if you ask him, he's no hero.
I'm proud of the fact that I dedicate this time without pay as a volunteer to the department, but basically we're just trying to do what we train to do. So I just see it as we do a good job. I don't see it as a hero.
All throughout Elfin Forest, there is a feeling of gratitude toward all the firefighters. And here in their station, they have personal notes of thanks from all the residents.
This is what makes it all worth it. We work really hard, and we just want to serve the members of our community. And for them to give us a thank you, it really means a lot to us.
And it's a week 11-year-old Tommy Barker will never forget. He took more than 100 pictures when fire approached his home.
Everybody evacuated, so I wanted to show the people what happened. I was just taking them and going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, with every shot.
And these are the pictures that have brought together this small town, a town that survived the worst fire in its history.
And most of those who lost their homes in the Elfin Forest area have plans to rebuild. They say they love their town and that it'll take a lot more than a fire to drive them away.
In fact, they've come a lot closer together.
Absolutely, and that's a positive thing, if anything, that came out of this.
Yeah. We just kind of stood there and thought, well, okay. Interestingly, we never shed a tear. It was kind of a funny feeling. We just decided, okay, what do we have to do? Where do we have to go? And how do we move forward? So it was always kind of a forward-thinking mindset that we had, and I attribute that kind of mental stability to a couple of different things. One of them is having good insurance is it sounds almost trivial, but it's an incredibly comforting thing to know that you've got insurance to help you along, and insurance personnel were incredible. I can't say enough about our insurance carrier. And the other thing is having a strong marriage, because if you don't have a strong marriage, any chink in the armor is going to blow wide apart at that time, and I was lucky enough to have both of those. You think about the losses that you suffer, but you know, if you had asked me the day before the fire, how would I feel if I lost everything I owned in a fire? My answer then would have been completely different than the answer that I would give you now. I was surprised at a couple of different things. First, how resilient emotionally both my husband and I were, and how much you can replace. And the things that you think of as irreplaceable, like photographs and mementos, things like that. Interestingly, I found that friends and family gave us back photographs that we had given to them over the years, or copied photographs that they had, or gave us photographs from events that we had attended that we had lost the pictures for. So we were able to actually replenish quite a bit from our family and friend photo collection. But the other thing too, some of the things obviously that you lose that are close to your heart, still only really were objects. It was just stuff. So most of the important things, the really important things, still live in my heart. So losing them, it wasn't as difficult as I would have told you the day before the fire. We don't have children, so we didn't have to deal with their traumas, so that was something we didn't have to deal with that I understand other people certainly had to deal with. But all of it pales in comparison to the loss of David Hammond, our neighbor. That, you know, to feel sorry for yourself for losing your favorite jacket or your family photos, it just seemed selfish and small-minded to even feel much pain over that at all in light of David's death and the loss of a husband and father of two. So it was hard to feel sorry for ourselves. Landscaping's huge, and the fire department is a wealth of information on how best to landscape your home. And a lot of people are under the impression that they want to just, you know, cut down everything and pave it and denude it, and that's not the case at all. The Firewise Garden's a wonderful resource for people who want to do beautiful and creative and fire-wise landscaping in their homes. But if you drive through this valley, you'll see a lot of examples, perfect don't pictures for fire-safe construction, and you'll also see some wise choices. Most of the wise choices were houses that were rebuilt after the fire in '96.
Here's what we're noticing, Bob. The fire was burning up the hill. If you can notice now, you can see that it has changed direction dramatically. It's now actually burning back into itself, but coming back down the hill. And there are homes, as you can see down there. There's one home. You see the flames. That is...
Phoebe, we're losing the signal. This is, we want to let people who are watching now, this is video recorded a little bit earlier from Sky 10. The flames, we understand, were last burning in a northerly direction, northwest, toward Ensign. All right, you're back, I guess. We're having a lot of problems technically, but tell us what you can see.
It's fully engulfed in flames right now, somewhat near the water tank. You can see that the wind is dramatically changing, and that's causing a lot of problems because it's burning back into itself. Again, about 100 acres, I'm told, have burned. They have been making drops. CDF has all kinds of air tankers and helicopters out here trying to combat this. It is continuing to burn, though, and it's very difficult to tell which direction it's going to keep going. We were having some sprinkles moments ago, but that appears to have stopped. The temperature, though, has dropped considerably, well, at least a few degrees, and that might be making it a little bit easier to handle. But it's hard to tell which way it's going. It's been very choppy up here. In fact, we're in a very turbulent spot right at the very moment.
An Escondido fire unit has just pulled up to the scene, and again, now the fire is really picking up momentum over the ridge. We're going to move a little bit just to give you a better vantage point. But this is the first fire unit on the ground that has come into this area near the 10,000 block of Del Dios. I count again at least 6 homes, and I'm going to tell you right now that these guys are going to be outmanned. Just behind the fire truck, as you see it pull out, is a couple evacuating one of their animals, a horse that's being moved out of the area. The smoke here is extremely, extremely thick, and there are a lot of ashes moving in the area. And of course, all it takes is a couple of burning embers to ignite any one of these homes. So this is going to be a very dramatic moment as the fire and the wind continues to press forward. There is some dead brush there, but it's not cleared back. So as this fire gets closer to the
as we well saw,
are signaling us up. Unfortunately, we have very little cable left.
Okay, well, once again, we're looking at videotape just back in here, and if you didn't know better, you would say it was 8 or 9 o'clock at night, wouldn't you? Look at that. But that is a daylight shot. It's just that the smoke is so intense and so dark that it looks as if it's night, as you see the fire burning along that ridge right there. And what just an awful feeling, as we do see an air tanker here moving in, dropping that retardant that Lauren was talking about. And we've been calling it, obviously, the Del Dios fire, but it's the Del Dios fires. There are several of them, and that's one of the things that's making it so difficult to know where to attack. All right, Lauren?
Okay, real quickly, let me show you. For as far as you can see behind me is the Harmony Grove fire, and then for many miles farther back to the west. So this fire is absolutely paralleling the fire from last year. You can see I have the bandana around my face. It was that kind of situation in there. I think what I was telling the camera is this is hell in here, and it really was. Now, the question is, were any of the homes up there burned? It looks touch and go, and these things always are when you have erratic winds like we had today. They were first blowing from east to west, and then they completely switched and went from west to east, and we saw actual firestorms down there where one resident said it was like being in a tornado. So here is some of that footage right now, and as you can see, it came very close to the homes, and Lauren was telling me he saw a firefighter down there who was using actually a little home fire extinguisher on these flames. You know, anything that anything you can throw at it sometimes will work, and in this case, we are told none of the homes down there did go up.
We're concerned this thing's going to make it turn towards Escondido and head that direction. If we get a wind change, which is what it looks like right now, it's going to make a hard run up that valley and head towards some homes.
Well, if you can find a place to put some line in, we got to eventually flank this thing once we get done.
No, you...
Let me pull. Hold on, Graham. Folks, it can turn on you so fast. Okay, I'm clamping off. Okay, cameraman, watch your back. Going right. Run with this, Mike. Forget it. Forget it. Get out of here. Watch behind us, folks. Watch behind us.
What I've seen with our communities here in the Elfin Forest, Harmony Grove area over the years that I've been here is that it is a remarkable, remarkable community. Consists of wonderful people who donate countless hours in their time to the community to make it what it is from all facets, from the Trails Committee to the foundations to the Escondido Creek to the town councils, and in many ways our fire folks. But it's the people here who make this area so unique and so wonderful. We're very special. We're very fortunate. We can keep it that way by being the remarkable community we are and realizing that we live in a fire area. It is fire prone. The more we are proactive, the more we prepare our properties, the more we understand fire, the more we're willing to help our neighbors and keep our properties cleared, the better off we're going to be. I can tell you that there were over 137 fire departments that responded to Harmony Grove over that horrible 12 to 15 hour period. Fire departments from as far away as Redding, California arrived here. But you know what? That's some distance away. During the critical times, it is important for us, for our community, to be prepared and to have our homes ready. When you see those flames, and they are over a mile long, you realize that is not the time to be ready. That is not the time to start to prepare. That is the time for action. That is when you need to be set. All of those engines, all 137 fire departments, all 1,300 firefighters were here working this area, could not stop it at that point. You have to realize that. We have to realize it as a community, that we are the ones who have to take care of ourselves and be ready. All the help in the world will be coming, but it will take time. We owe it to our communities, we owe it to ourselves, we owe it to our families to be ready.
The fire season's here, and you know what that brings. The dangers high, so clear, all combustible things from your buildings and homes. 400-foot zone. Ounce of prevention's worth a pound of cure. We're here to remind you to make sure to clear a 100-foot zone away from your buildings and homes. In 2005, the firefighters tried to save us from loss and all those property costs. A little word to the wise, you could save lives, and to protect us all, the state made it a law to clear a 100-foot zone away from your buildings and homes.